Hi, it's Steve. Today we're going to be canning up a bunch of chicken broth. This is going to be geared more towards the people that are intimidated or haven't jumped on the bandwagon yet of using a pressure canner. It makes a world of difference just to be able to have it for later, to enjoy, to stretch out that yumminess for later on, the mouthiness, that nostalgic taste, the savory yumminess of whatever it is that you cooked in with that pot of chicken bones and stuff. Um, it's a superior product to the stuff that you can get at the store. Um, and that way too, like you don't have to make a gallon and a half of soup at one time and then get tired of eating it after 2 or 3 days. So here we go. All right, so what we'll normally do is take all of our carcasses and hook them into this thing, okay? It can comfortably hold 5 anyways. Um, it's one of those electric roasting pans, but you can use whatever size pot that you have or whatever pot you have, as long as the chickens fit into it and you can cover that thing with water, that'll be just great. Um, so we let it boil and simmer for a few hours there just to loosen everything up. Again, a splash of apple cider vinegar just helps break some of the bone down a little bit. Doesn't break it down, but softens them up, and it allows for more tastes and flavors um, for a little while. Then we'll unplug it, turn it off, and strain out all of the big lumps. And what we'll use usually is this thing, one of these. Uh, all of the muck and the goo and the leftovers get disposed of to some of the other animals, and particularly the chickens. They like it. But it's not a super good idea to feed it to your cats or your dogs because, like it or not, they will try to eat the bones, and any cooked bones, whether it's pig, cow, or chicken, I'm pretty sure the list can go on, they splinter and you can injure or kill your pet. So we strain all the lumps out, we get it set into the pot, the juice, and we put the pot either somewhere cold, like outside, but we have to watch it when it's outside for cats and stuff like that, or the garage, or into the fridge to let the fat come up. And once the fat is up, then you can skim off that fat and then give it to the cats and dogs and stuff. They really like that. Um, from there, it's ready to go. We know that with our system that we have with this thing, to strain it into here, we'll get about 6 quarts. And that's that. So let's get doing that. Okay, so here we are. We've gotten everything up to temperature. Again, you may be able to see, you may not be able to see. I was talking about taking off the fat, but we don't take off all of the fat just because it does add a certain amount of taste as well. So we will fill up the jars gently up to about an inch, which is to this first little ridge roughly. You can go ahead and get yourself one of these fancy little doodads or any other means of measuring anything. And you can see there's your inch, and it goes roughly to just under that first little ridge. Okay, we know that, so we're not going to waste our time with that. But also too, just so you know, the difference, you'll hear the big difference between stock and broth. Well, what is the difference? You'll be able to impress your friends with this knowledge now. Traditionally, broth is more of a meat-based liquid like this, whereas stock is bone-based. And usually stocks, as such, when you boil anything with a bone in it, it's going to be just a little bit thicker. And so now you're a better person. You know the difference between stock and broth. Again, this is one of those versatile things that you can just drink, consume, just like this, just exactly like this. put a little salt in if you want. We don't put any salt in ours when we can it. It's good for when you're sick. It's really gentle and easy on the system. Also, you can use it instead of using water with your rice or anything else that you cook normally that requires water as a big component. Use this stuff. You can make soup with it. And the reason why actually we are making this batch is because we had a couple of sick little humans here last week, and they seem to have run amok on our stock of stock. Anyways, we'll put a little bit more on this guy. So if you've made it this far through, tell me where or who you know has made the best soup, chicken soup you've ever had. Whether it's yourself and you want to pull your own straps, pat yourself on the back, or was it from, I don't know, grandmama or old Aunt Ethel or who? I don't know. You tell me. I know that whenever, again, I drink this stuff, it takes me back to when I was a little kid at my grandmother's place. And she would always, just like this, maybe she would chop up some green onions into it. It wasn't a whole lot. And then there was always saltine crackers. Lots of saltine crackers with these things too, I guess. And it wasn't always noodles. I guess it all depended on how we were feeling and what we were doing. I think the rest of this we're just going to pour. I don't even think we're going to wind up with our full load, but that's okay. We'll see if we can pour this in gently. It's warm. It's more than warm. Nope, not even going to have enough. That's too bad. I guess that just means we'll have to suffer through and drink almost a quart. See, this is where I get bummed out, because this one is just half an inch shy of our measure. So what we'll do is and I could take it and just drink it, but then I'll get in trouble. Uh-oh, avalanche. So we'll just skim a little bit off of everybody. I don't know, maybe it was fattier than we thought, and a lot of it came off, because usually we should get just enough. Anyways, it's close enough to an inch not to make a difference. We'll put this in here, we'll put our jar away, and as per usual, we get our vinegar, put some on a rag or a paper towel. And what it does is it cuts through all the grease and crud. That way we're going to make sure we have a good seal. And everybody gets a lick. And that way too you can feel your jar. If there's some sort of crack or whatever, you can feel an imperfection in there as well. And you know, if it's got an imperfection, out you go. It's good for nothing. You can mark it with a Sharpie or something, and then keep it for the table and just use it as a vase for your flowers. Tight, and just to say so, like that. Make sure it's just so, and then just a little more. Same thing, everybody gets the same treatment. And then they go out to the canner. I'll be back in 20 seconds or so. All right, so here we are outside. it is almost starting to vent. The steam you see coming out of there, like it's just steaming now. It's not really got that hard steam coming out. Venting, they call it. Once it does start to vent, we have to have that go for about 10 minutes. Or not about 10 minutes, 10 minutes. And then we can put our weight on there to block it, and then we'll build the pressure up. I know that this one is calibrated, the gauge is calibrated, so it is accurate, but I still also use the weight gauge, the 10 pound weight, because of our elevation. So this is, I'm going to say, venting now. So we'll be back in just a little bit further along the process. So 10 minutes later, this is what we're looking at. This is that thing venting, and it's very apparent. I did let it go for an extra minute there because it wasn't quite venting before, and I did start my timer after I'd seen it doing this, but it can go quite a long ways. It's sometimes not so easy to see if you're inside and your inside of your house is really humid. But anyways, this is the part that I know a lot of people, just from seeing what I've seen, get very intimidated by, is putting this little doodad on the vent hole. It goes on. That's it. You don't have to worry about it. It's not just going to instantaneously explode. Now we have to stand back and let the pressure build up. And we'll either hear this thing doing a little jiggle, jiggle, jiggle like a little hula dancer, and or the pressure here will be at the 10 mark. Okay. Anyways, I'm not going to be doing this, coming out and showing you this. I'll show you, I'll come back when everything is on its way out of the pressure canner. Okay. So I lied. We're back looking at this thing. And as you can see, it's at that 10, 11 pounds on the gauge. And the jiggler, the weighted pressure doodad, is just doing its little hula dance. It's not going crazy. It's not like it's about to blast off to outer space. If you're doing this inside, it acts as an audio cue as to what's going on with your can or two. So that way you can still go about doing all those things that you would normally be doing anyways, whether it's watching soap operas or building a model or whatever it is. That's what it does, and that's what it's doing. And we have to do this for, with this, in this case anyways, 25 minutes. All right, and that's that. All right, so you're going to be asking yourselves, you see this change of scenery here. What it is that it is rather chilly outside just the same, being about -6 Celsius or around 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And it is too much of a thermal shock, or rather too much of a sudden change in temperature for the pots just to come out and be transferred inside. So as soon as the timing was done for the time required to can these things, I grabbed the pressure cooker canner and brought it right in here and let it come down all by itself. So there is no more pressure in there. The little safety mechanism is fallen, and we can take this off without any worry. We open it as such, tip it away from our faces, because if there is some big steam, we don't want it blasting us in the face. Already, you hear that? It's like music. And we'll take the lid and another one. We'll come over here, take a quick look, and everybody looks good. The water looks clean. Don't think there was any siphoning. And any mini miny mo. I guess it doesn't really matter. They've all got to come out. Oh, more. All this music is happening. And look at that. Look how fantastic is that. Everybody out. Actually, I'll put this guy here. And another one. So if you finally actually made it this far, Could you like or subscribe or leave a message as to where you're coming from? I'd appreciate it. I appreciate the geography a little bit more, just because I think it's neat to see how far my little light is shining. And I think that's going to do it. Everybody looks super fantastic. Ta-da! We'll just get in here just a wee little bit closer and take a closer look at these guys. And there, look at that. It's like magic. Anyways, until next time, thank you for your time and patience.